Hey, John, can you hear me?
I can, Hanny. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Perfect.
John, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you and I can see you.
Boy, I'm good to go now.
You're golden.
Yeah. Hi, Hattie.
Hi, John, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm good, thank you.
That a girl.
Watch the inauguration today, John?
Yes, I did. I watched parts of it. I was in and out and all that. I thought it was the best one ever. You know, there wasn't all that rigmarole and all that. They got right to the point and got it done. It was pretty interesting.
You know, it really was. I thought it sounded very classy.
Yeah. I like Lady Gaga. She can sing, boy.
Oh, boy. Certainly can. Oh, Fish.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everyone is doing well.
Back at you, Fish.
Oh, Justin.
Chairman Sorge, it's just not like real, not sitting around that table up there visiting like we did in the old days, I guess. Can't wait till we all get back up there and sit around that table and visit. Commissioner Mackins remembers some of them days, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I remember, Commissioner Fisher.
Commissioner Sarge, they want me to run upstairs and sit in the chair position, so I'll be getting up here and I'll get back on.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we got a quorum. So Danette's going to go upstairs. And who are we missing? Josh O'Neill.
Hello, Michelle.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Michelle.
How are we doing?
How about you?
Good.
Okay, well, I guess we'll get started because we got quite a bit of stuff to cover tonight. We got, what is it, 6 or 7 budget transfers, a resolution to kind of talk about, and questions about on the expenditure report. So, Commissioner Fisher, you wanted to hold off?
Thank you, Chairman Sorge. I have no questions or concerns about the check run for January 19th or 20th. I just would like sometime at the end of the meeting or prior to the end of the meeting to have Director Gleason give us a little bit of heads up how the T-Mobile thing is working with, I see the bill was $10,000. It should just give us a little update how everyone's doing with that. That'd be great. No questions or concerns. Thank you, Chairman Sorge.
Okay. Commissioner Fortune, do you have anything that you wanted to? Director Gleason will be back in a minute.
Can we wait for her, I guess?
Sure. Yeah, you bet.
Can I just remind, Chairman Sorge, can I just remind everyone to make sure that you're on mute because there is some feedback coming back tonight again?
That is probably me too.
It looks like it's John's that's not on mute.
Okay, Director Gleason, I believe Commissioner Fortune has a request for you. Justin, did you have anything?
Your microphone's working. Is your microphone working?
Yep, it is now.
I just had a question. So like 10% of this budget's for wet. Does any of that stuff go to bid for anyone besides wet? I mean, they have their total bill is $37,000 for like 5 different projects. It seems like, I mean, Dow or Pioneer, you don't see those guys. That was just my question.
Sure, Commissioner Sorch, or Chairman Sorch, Commissioner Fortune. So all of the engineering is RFP'd out in bundle packages if we know in advance what type of engineering services we're going to need for a particular year. Those RFPs are let by the Public Works Department. And when they go out, each one of the engineering firms, whether it's HDR, WET, Pioneer Technical, Dow, or other Great West. I'm trying to think of other entities that have bid. Not just local firms here in Butte bid. They're across the state, in country, actually they could, but mostly we see in-state and then actually in the community bidding. So like I said, those are let out once a year. They show their principal partners, they show their engineering staff and their qualifications for a particular area of service. So, for example, if it's related to SCADA systems within the water utility division, they have to demonstrate what people in their firm will be handling that particular project. So they have to show their qualifications and meet our minimum qualifications in the RFP. And then we go by price. So we could have 3 firms all be able to do stormwater, for example. And we'll look at the qualifications and they'll rank them. The Public Works Department will rank them. And the ranking consists of their professional standards, qualifications, as well as the cost. And then when we do projects, if, for example, one engineering firm is low on stormwater, they may do the stormwater, but they could also have put in to do some of our SCADA systems, so they'll do the SCADA systems. Is that kind of what you're looking for? Excuse me.
So,
There you go.
click to another screen. The only people I've ever seen on here is wet, so that was just my question. Why it seems
So
like they
the-
just kind
yeah.
of have all these.
Chairman Sorch, Commissioner Fortune. So on this month, on this week's check run, I think there was also one, the reason why SCADA came to mind is because I think there's one for HDR on there for SCADA system upgrades at the plants. They do a lot of our SCADA system and our computer type activities, telemetry, whatnot, within our water treatment plant and our metro plant. And I think there's a $37,000, there's a pretty good bill in here this time for that one. WET right now had, it just kind of depends when they do their monthly invoicing with us. And I can tell you, WET is very promptly with their invoicing and their billing to get their cash flow. We have other engineering firms that will get 2 and 3 months of bills all at one time. So you'll see other engineering firms who try to do it monthly, but sometimes you'll see 2 months coming at the same time on projects. We do a lot of activity with WET. We do a lot of activity with Pioneer, and we do a lot of activity with HDR. Great West, I hope I'm saying it's not Great Northern, it's Great West Engineering. They are the main engineers on doing the landfill, the cell 4 expansion that's taken off right now. Out in the landfill, I think you had a claim last time for them.
That was my only question.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Fortune. Commissioner Reardon, did you have anything that you wanted to find out about the check run?
Yes, I do. I got a couple things here. There was just a reference in a couple of the sections to Shell Energy. And I was wondering what Shell Energy is for my own personal knowledge. Is that a gasoline card, or is it another entity that or business that we pay for services? Could you explain that for me, Danette?
Mhm.
Thank you.
Chairman Sorich, Commissioner Reardon. So Shell has won the state bid under the procurement process for large consumers of gas. And so when we did a choice elective for our civic center, the courthouse, the hot plant, I think that's the 3 sites, that we listed, we agreed to go into the state bid procurement for them. So they're actually our gas provider. So Northwestern Energy provides the transmission of the gas to those different locations, but Shell was awarded the bid for the supply of the actual natural gas.
John, you're on mute.
Yeah, he's muted. I think he's still muted.
I think you're still muted, John.
Might have to run down. You might have to run down.
If you hold the
Okay.
space bar, you can just.
Okay, that's all right. I have another one here. It was number 950-2508, and it said unallocated costs.
So underneath that Department of Unallocated Costs, it's actually within our road maintenance district. You said Fund 2508, correct? Is it for
Yes, ma'am.
Is it for freeze guard?
No, it just says it had Main Street on it. I just took some notes. 2508, number 950.
John, do you have a page number by chance? Sometimes it helps to have a page number.
I think I know what he's talking about. He's talking about the street maintenance district. So, so we have a street maintenance district that's actually countywide that was developed. This is the 3rd year of the countywide street maintenance district. And these are the funds that account for those. The department it's an SID. So that's the counting structure that we have to set up to account for an SID.
Great, thank you. I appreciate that.
Anything else, Commissioner Reardon? Commissioner Thatcher, do you have anything that you would like to ask Director Gleason?
Thank you, Commissioner Chairman Sorich. I actually spoke with Danette earlier, but Danette, I was looking over it again. What does it mean when it says 2325 fund not found? It was a wet charge and on page 56.
Yep. So Commissioner Sorich, Commissioner Thatcher, that is an error on the report. That fund is out there. It is just a new fund that was created and not added to the fund. And actually, Kathy is up here smiling and she will get it fixed. But 2325 is one of our new increment districts. It was just established, and that is just an allocation of a charge for some work that WET was doing within the district. I can give you the total contract amount. I got to pull the claim.
Oh, you're good. I honestly just didn't know what I meant.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that was enough information.
but you shouldn't see fund not found. And so we're just cross-training everybody downstairs. So usually they take a quick look at this report before they post it. And it was just a fund it's a new fund that was created and not used yet. And so the updated of the database wasn't completed.
Okay, thank you. That's all for me, Chairman Sorich.
Thank you, Commissioner Thatcher. Okay, I guess we'll move on to budget transfers. Did everybody get a chance to look at the budget transfers also? Do we want to go through them one by one? Does anybody have any really burning desires for the budget transfers? We can, if you want to, what was, why their money was moved around. What's there, 6 of them? What are you thinking, Danette?
I'm sitting here going, not at my computer to tell you what they are. I could probably tell you if you had a question.
Chairman Sarch, before we move on to that, do you mind if I ask a question real quick?
Certainly, Commissioner Frederickson. Yeah, certainly.
Thanks. It'll be quick. I was just wanted to ask Danette about claim number 5120 under the Civic Center. It's on page 49. There is a charge on here from Vision One on ticket sales and Payflow Pro December. And while it's not that much, it's $60.61. I was just wondering what possibly we would be using that service for as far as ticket sales.
Well, there's Commissioner Sorge, Chairman Sorge, Commissioner Frederickson, they're still selling some concert tickets, and tickets are still going through. As a matter of fact, I think last week you've seen a new account on here similar to what Hattie or Commissioner Thatcher was pointing out is not on the record or within our database, and it related to a loss. And that was the refunds for some tickets, but they still are having sales for, I think it's one of the concerts in April that was out there that we still see. And we know that in our office because Karen Hassler and I, mainly Karen, reconciles the Civic Center account for us. And we see some of those sales going out because they have a box office account. We transfer funds from the box office account up into our general fund within the treasurer's office. And so we see those sales still occurring, a few of them. We would always probably have some small charge just because we offer those services in general, and they love to pay, these little computer things or programs love to have some type of access fee or some small charge, even if you're not using it. So, and that could be we had a few ticket sales last month. I do remember that. So.
Okay, thanks, Director Gleason, and thank you for allowing me to ask Chairman Sorch.
You betcha, Sean. Danette, there was a budget transfer in here that I just wanted to question, and I don't know if I have it in front. It was about the labor. Is that this week's labor for some summer helpers?
It should have more of a description on the bottom. I'm sorry, I didn't bring up those transfers. I thought I would be at my desk and have them, but so is it transferring between two different line items within the personnel section of the budget?
Yeah, Danette, I'm looking for it now. I'm
on the bottom of the budget transfer, should an explanation part, if anybody else has them.
Maybe I was dreaming. I thought there was one in there about some labor. That's one thing that I kind of really like to question about the changing around the labor, because usually that's pretty much solid, from year to year.
So you have, I can tell you in general what some of them were, if I can remember right. You had a couple that were transferring between line items. So we, between personnel line items like 110, 120, 130, 115, the various personnel line items, that kind of transferring we do allow on the department level, mainly because they might use more of a temporary person versus a seasonal person. And if you remember a few years ago, probably 4 or 5 years ago, we really detailed out the 110 line item. Everything was just charged to one bucket. And everybody kind of wanted to see the difference between seasonal workers, temporary workers, longevity pay, all those different pay types. So we broke them all out. I think the one you're talking about is a transfer between line items. You do have one in these budget transfers that is from the 110 line item in the PDX budget to the 390 line item for other purchase services. And generally, I've always had the authority in our office to create those budget transfers. with a good explanation. And the explanation is that we have a temporary person that is working from Express Personnel Services, I believe. I'm not sure which personnel agency, I'm sorry. Maybe it's Spirion, that is working at the front desk as a PBX operator as a temporary till the clerk position is filled. And so we took the money that normally would have been spent in the 110 line item for personnel and moved it to the 390 to cover those costs. Other than that, I can't think of any 110, any personnel line item that went outside of the parameters of going within the personnel, the salaries and benefit line items.
Thank you. I think you just answered my other question too, because there was on the expenditure list, there was an expense for a temporary person in the chief executive's office. I think that's the same person you're talking about.
Yeah, it's actually a PBX budget, but yes, that is the expenditure.
Okay. Anybody have any questions about the budget transfers?
Commissioner Callahan has his hand up.
Commissioner Callahan.
Thank you, Chairman. Sorry. Danette, I just had a couple of questions. One of them was, did they increase the allotment for boots or shoes for the employees? I know in the past it was always 200 or less. We've got one in there this week that's almost 225.
So Commissioner Sorge, Commissioner Callahan, I can pull that claim, but just to answer that question in general, the different clothing and boot allowances vary between the various contracts. So a labor clothing or boot allowance could be very different than that of an operator's. And some of them are on annual basis, where others are on paid twice, every 2 years they're paid for boots, and then clothing is every year. They just read very different across the contracts. We always, when we have clothing allowances, go through accounts payable, boot allowances, clothing allowances, we have HR sign off on the claim too. So the department head signs off on the claim, and then HR signs off on the claim and tracks it for a couple of reasons. One, to make sure that we don't double up and pay somebody out of contract year so they don't end up with 2 boot allowances in the same year. The others to make sure it's in compliance with the union contracts.
Okay, thank you. I had one other too. It's back to the shop local thing. I saw a couple bills in there paid to demotors.
Oh, I knew somebody was gonna, those were parts that they had to go there because there was the only place to get them. And Jerry Carpenter actually called me about that. So he had to get certain parts for one of the vehicles to get it back on. They're having troubles with everything that's happening with COVID, trying to get parts, equipment, even new vehicles are tough right now. So he had to purchase a couple parts through demotors.
Okay, that was all my questions. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. It looks like Commissioner O'Neill has his hand up if you can't see it, Commissioner Sorge.
Commissioner O'Neill, go ahead.
Thanks, Chairman Sorge. I just have a question. Two new snowmobiles bought locally. Cheers to that. Just on the reference line, we talked about high faxes last week for old ones. More curious of I'm not asking why we need them or don't need them. Curious on how many we have now since we repaired old ones and now we have new ones. Just a question.
So Chairman Sorich, Commissioner O'Neill, I'm not positive exactly how many we have, maybe 4 total, but I do know that one of the ones that was repaired already had caused more issues. I worked with Public Works Director Mark Neary, and they purchased them, these snowmobiles, for safety purposes. We just can't have something breaking down. They go way up in the hills to Silver Lake, to Storm Lake. They go up in Basin Creek, way up in there, and it's just too dangerous, especially if the weather or the temperatures drop and they have to go up in there to not have equipment that's properly functioning and working. And then also just the review of the equipment, it just starts costing so much when you're just throwing a bunch of money at repairs. And so Public Works Director Neary had brought some quotes to us, and those were the lowest priced, and availability with snowmobiles, razors, all that kind of stuff is really difficult right now. And that was one of the easy access ones to grab 2 of them.
Thank you, Danette. Appreciate it. For the record, I'm still seeking that position in the county if that ever opens. Thank you.
Danette, for all of our benefit, do you want to kind of just, you probably don't have it in front of you, but kind of talk about the process of the council resolution, you know, for that came before us on, from this, I believe it's from the sheriff, providing for an emergency budget appropriation, unanticipated revenue to the Butte-Silver Law Enforcement Agency for the Montana Border Crime Control Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding, and providing for an effective date herein. So Council Resolution 2021-01. Do kind of just give us kind of a rundown what that, if you have.
So is this on? I thought this was on last week or 2 weeks ago. So I can tell you about the resolution. I'm not seeing it here. Oh, is it in your minutes? Anyway, this was through the CARES Act funding. The grant writer, Shelley Cleverly, worked on this grant for the Sheriff's Department, and then Lucy Hansen in our department worked on this grant. Oh, is it on the agenda? Oh,
yes.
He's saying it. Commissioner Fisher's saying it's not. I'm trying to look, but.
It's not on the budget and finance agenda.
We can't talk about it.
So we can't, it's point of order. We can't speak about that at this time. It's not on the budget and finance agenda. It is on the committee regular meeting agenda. Should be addressed at that time. I believe so.
Laura and I think we passed this last week. We're going to have to, or 2 weeks ago, we're going to have to look at this. We'll look at it in the meantime. I didn't see it on your, nope, it's not on your finance and budget agenda. So.
You're right, Commissioner Fisher. It's not on the agenda. Okay, I was just looking at it because it was sent to us, so I just opened it up.
Okay. I think it was on last week. Anyways.
If someone would give the amount, I would make a motion that we expenditure approval and reviewed, but I don't have the amount in front of me.
$372,267.77.
Chairman Sorich, if I may.
Mr. Fisher.
I would make a motion that we have reviewed and approved the budget and finance report for Wednesday, January 20th in the amount of $372,260.77.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion made and seconded. Would everybody please signify the board just by an aye?
Aye.
Okay. Anybody against? Okay. Motion passes.
Chairman Sorich, as I requested at the beginning of the meeting, please, if I could just have Danette give us a little report on claim number 5187, page 78. I'm not contesting the amount. I just want to report on T-Mobile service and what her opinion is. I value it. Thank you.
So that, just so you know, that claim, and I'm sorry, I should have brought that one up for you, because that claim is actually from August through December. It's for $10,518. We normally had a monthly bill of around $6,000 to $6,500 with Verizon. We're still working out a lot of some of the different items or issues. I don't know if I want to call them issues. I think it's just more working out how people are using their phones, the best way to use their phone. I'm not telling you that it doesn't have some issues going on, and the IT department is tracking all those issues that are reported to them. Josh is right here shaking his head up and down because he's the guy in charge of trying to take care of those phones. I think the hardest part for us is that we've worked with some of the departments, is to make sure they're communicating anything that they're having issues with. And we know that takes a little bit of extra effort, but we can't help them if they don't communicate back to us. And then Josh works directly, and Kathy, with the T-Mobile people that have been assigned to our accounts. It's a significant savings for the local government. So we do want to give it our due diligence and kind of try to work through everything to see if this is the best product for us to be using. And we think we need a few more months before we do any more evaluation, whether we continue a contract.
Thank you, Director Gleason. I appreciate your input, and as you know, I value your opinion on that stuff. With that being said, Chairman Sorich, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion made and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against, adjourned. Okay, we'll see you here in a couple minutes.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
See us.